Hello, everyone. It's Mike Merker here. It's episode 36 of People Solving Impossible Puzzles. We have Daniel Brody here. Daniel, tell
Hey,
us
Mike.
all about yourself.
Well, I'm a guy that's been in tech so long that I'm bald and I have too many gray hairs.
You're
And I
just
feel
gonna.
and I feel like when you had the thing up here, what you call the Steven Spielberg movie with the third kind. I felt like yeah, I felt like the music should be playing to light up the music
I love
from the
it. I
movie.
love it. I and what's your story? Your tech, your business. You got a
I'm both.
yarmulke on. What's your story?
I'm both. I am business and tech, mostly tech, but also mostly business.
And
I don't know
back.
if I could.
Oh,
Mostly tech and mostly business.
share
And
some
so,
stories. You're
so-
older and wiser. Share
yeah,
some
so
wisdom.
I started in tech um, really after university, and I went to work for CPI, Concert Productions International, near Toronto, who were at the time the biggest concert promoter in the world. And I got put in charge of merchandising, and they bought me the first computer in the office, an IBM X. This is how old I was. An IBM XT, two big floppy disks, and a 20 gig hard drive. I think cost them $6,000 or $7,000 at the time. Green screen, and I wrote software to analyze all the merchandise that was being sold at Guac concerts, so we could forecast purchase and all the purchase orders and all the stuff. So it was really moving the stuff online. But really, my first forays, like the rest of the jobs were kind of building to tech. They were like aptitude, because really tech was so new in companies. There wasn't really someone who was a tech person that was the job. You had an aptitude, you kind of grew with it. So, I worked for Unicorp, and I worked for a couple of the companies that they own. I worked with Midland Doherty, and I was in operations and IT with their optimizing, writing code to recover money, recover money. And I was banking, and then in New York with their Lincoln Savings Bank, a similar job for a short contract, and then a food company. So I got into food distribution, and we went from mom and pop retailers to mainstream retailers. It was part of the push of the acquisition, and we computerized the business. It was on an old little DOS program, and we had a COBOL program running on a big. I had to learn how to AT&T Unix, or Motorola. Sorry, it was Motorola Unix at the time, and then I went on to. So I had to learn that COBOL programming, and I had to learn the Unix stuff. And then when we went to mainstream, we needed barcode scanning, advanced ship notifications, and all that stuff. So we built our own new ERP for the company to do a lot of the stuff. We have very crazy pricing modules and all this stuff that really couldn't be built by anybody else, and handle both the mainstream and the mom and pop business. And we had our own trucking fleet and everything like that. So, but I was the third customer of a warehouse management software company called Radio Beacon. The first two
Nice.
companies were book businesses, and I joined them. I actually left there and joined them, and that was my first full tech job. So I ran professional services, and I helped with product development, and I helped with sales, and I created it. We moved from direct sales to VAR channel. So I created the whole VAR channel program and training all the VARs. I traveled around the world implementing systems and training VARs and making sure stuff got up. And then the business was sold in 2000, 2001. And I did a .com or bust, where I worked on a product that was the predecessor of what would have been Netflix. It was called InFX, actually. It was called InFX.
Streaming,
And
like a streaming.
it was a streaming business. The motif was a little television screen on the computer. And we were got into pilot, but then the guy didn't get any more funding for the business, so it closed down. But I got it all the way to pilot, and it was very cool. Because of it used the proprietary thrust technology, using FTP to force, because we were dealing with 1.5 meg
Yes,
service
yes.
and dial up. So
Dial-up.
How do you show a movie on that? So we had giant buffers in the app, and we would buffer the things. And then what we figured out is if we cached commercials and we put markers in the films, and so it would cache, and then we calculated how long the buffer had to last, and that if it got close to a certain point, it would play the commercial and then rebuffer to reload more of the movie.
Wait a second. Buffering and
Yeah.
caching data. What was that like? This is like 25 years ago. That was the norm.
20, exactly. Yeah, it's 25 years ago.
25 years ago, that's right.
Yeah. It was real bleeding edge technology of what we were doing. The quality, considering what everybody else was showing, it was unbelievable. Our quality. And we had what was the name of it? We had a little data vault company in Toronto who had a whole bunch of subscribers, like a reseller that was piloting it, and it was being very good. And we started off like just a little free to test, like quality and volume, and it was good. But unfortunately, the guy's money got pulled. And then I went on to do a completely big switch. Well, it was kind of the same supply chain. I went to work for a friend of mine who had really a custom software for a steel factory. And we turned that into a mainstream solution for the metal industry, and sold it. I had to sell it. I had to design it, sell it, implement it, build it. We had a team of about 15 developers at our peak, and did that for 10 years. And again, we sold Mexico, Slovakia, U.S., China. I was probably the only guy to sell a manufacturing exercise from Canada into China.
Wait a second. But Daniel, you're not just sitting in front. You're not doing just the development or the coding.
I wasn't doing the coding then. I was doing product development and sales and like the product design, the whole thing. Generally managing the business.
So the business of tech, which is very different.
The business of tech, but the product, also the product development, right? Because the requirements and the whole thing, what can we do? What do we change? How do we make it fit? And all that stuff. And then running around, going to trade shows, building relationships, selling, in fact, on LinkedIn, I had started at the end of that tenure, I had started a group.
I'm going on LinkedIn right now on another computer. Which group? What a LinkedIn group?
In my groups, I have a group.
Yeah.
It's a private group called Steel Manufacturers and Processors. And it has 130, almost 140,000 members in it. About 98,000 are active. People are trading and making relationships in the steel business. And I just, over the years, I spend a few minutes every day just managing the group. I tried to sell it. Anyone who wants to buy it, buy the group from me.
Price tag.
We're focused on the steel industry.
Steel industry.
Steel and metal industry, from raw material to finished things. And there's like 140,000 people in the group around the world. So I have that. And after that, I was in India too with the steel company, and met guys there that were localizing the software for us and introducing me to steel companies. And offshoring was new and untrusted.
Why? That was a different time. That was a different era.
Yeah, it was 2010, right? So that was new and untested. And we decided that we would create an onshore-offshore development company. So we had an office in Toronto, an office in New York, an office in Chennai, an office in Pondicherry, and we grew the company to to 200 developers, right? And
What
we're doing
kind
about,
of
I think we
what,
built it up to about $10 million a year recurring revenue in a few years. And I was there for almost 4 years, and I sold the business out. And we did some cool stuff, some really creative and innovative stuff, and won some awards and things like that. It was very cool. And from there, I went to Anthem Sports and Entertainment. And I helped them with the digitize from analog to digital, Fantasy Sports Network, the Fight Network. We had a marketing automation system, things like that. So we did that. And then I created my own startup on my own. It was based on kind of in that timeline. I went through the classic family thing. My father passed away in '99. My mother, within 2 years, fell and broke her ankle. And it was like, oh, you're now taking care of your mother. And we had 5 kids. I was the youngest of 4 siblings, but for some reason I was the guy that got all the caregiving. I was the primary caregiver.
I'm also the 4th of 5.
So,
I have interesting.
Yeah.
Caregiving while being a CTO character. How? That's not possible.
Yeah. So I learned a lot during that. And what I did is I built, being the type of guy I'm at, and especially very project focused. I need to project manage my mother, and how do I? Because it's more than just the medical tasks, right?
Yes.
It's everything. It's the will. It's the living will. It's accounting. It's everything.
Doctor's
everything in
visits.
someone's life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It's for some people it happens all at once, and for some people it happens incrementally. It builds up. So I built an access program that just my family, my siblings and I could use to keep track of things, keep mom's documents and stuff. And I put it online, and we could just keep track of the things that I had, because I was carrying a binder around. Every time she showed up at the hospital, I would go with the binder of stuff. And so that was that. And then I gave it to a friend of mine who was going through this with his dad, who I did a whole bunch of different work over the time with. I met him at Anthem. We did different projects, and we've continued to do different projects over the years since then. And he's a brilliant chief marketing of Bill Yucatanis, a great marketing guy. And he's doing some cool stuff in sports and entertainment now. And we said, well, he loved it. He said, oh, this is great. And maybe we should make a company. So we started to do research. There was really nothing in the marketplace like what we wanted to build, which was this healthcare. So we raised some friends and family. We went from 2017 to 2021. We got to pilot with Sunnybrook, but then it was like COVID was hitting, money dried up, the hospitals weren't paying attention, all that. So we basically parked it, and we sold basically the software and the solution to XGC Software Inc., which is and that was, so I had idled the software, but I had sold it out. And then I was in gambling. I did
gambling, like
online?
Online?
So my first gambling site was with Bill Yucatanis. He had lucky, and he was having trouble getting launched. So we got him to pulled and dragged all the techie people to launch. And I learned a lot about the things. We had a loophole in the gambling, and then I was hired by full time by Superdraft, and I built their gambling system. They were a DFS company backed by Caesars, and I built that. And along the way, I've also had like CTOrescues.com is my brand.
Yeah.
That's my brand, and I've done all this consulting work and stuff over time. I'm part of the founders and residents at High Tech, which is where we met. And just recently we sold XGC, which I morphed a different XGC. We used the same name, but XGC Carbon, we've sold another product that I created, which is a national carbon origin. And we sold that to a U.S. public penny stock company called TGI Power, and we formed a new U.S. company called Axena Group, which is focusing on all the technology stuff around the projects we're doing. And God willing, it's all going to work out. It'll be great and make lots of money again.
And and you said it explicitly there at the tail end, make lots of money.
Make lots of money. First of all, in tech, you're up and down. You're up and down, especially if you're do a lot of consulting like I have over time.
Mm.
You get very busy on projects, but you're not hunting the next food. Like at the time, there really wasn't business like today. I could get, if I was a lot younger, for 30 years younger, and doing this again, I could hire a guy, and anybody doing this kind of online consulting, and you had a small team, and you're a CTO type of guy, I would recommend getting a biz dev person. You hire on these guys that hire on contracts to keep your pipeline filled. Because what happens is you get on a project, you work for a year or two on the project. Hey, if the guy raises more money, maybe it keeps going. Especially when you're working in startups, it goes bust, and you don't get it. You got to now spend months looking for the next project.
You're right.
So you go hungry.
You're right.
And we all have to keep milk in the fridge, right? And now milk and eggs are really expensive. Milk and eggs are really expensive today. And you need a lot of gasoline. Gas is really expensive driving around.
When you were younger, what was gas? What was the cost of gas like when I was like 20 years ago? What was
I don't know.
Or what was like milk was not $6 Canadian. No. Listen, you could have gone to what was Max Milk, which used to be the corner store Max Milk, and they used to have the big jugs, gallon jugs of milk. A gallon, yeah.
I think it was like a couple bucks for a gallon of milk.
Everything's doubled in price, tripled in price.
More than that. It's probably 4 or 5x.
And how
it's doubled in price in the last 2 years.
You were touching on something very interesting. If you could go back in time, or in today's day and age, if you were 30
well, my
years
age,
younger.
I don't mean so much the time. My age, like I'm 60 years old, and I'm still chugging away. And I'm saying, like, from an advice from people, like, if you're running a consulting practice, you're a CTO for hire. Like I have a CTO rescues, right? Kind of like bar rescues, but for tech. How do you find the clients? How do you keep the pipeline filled? And now with technology and with these guys, offshore guys, like who will make cold calls for you and find you client, and you only pay for what they get. It's a great way to fill the pipeline. I mean, even with my iHorse stuff, if I had guys like that, I probably could have been $20 or $30 million a year business, right?
In all these many stories of 30 years, could we say you've done 30 years of intensive tech sales and managerial, you could say CTO.
CTO. But I've and that's another point, right? I consider myself a CITO.
Why?
Chief Information and Technology Officer. I think I did a video on it like 20 years ago, and a YouTube video there would be on a CITO.
I'm looking for it.
I think it still gets views.
What were you making a video 10 years ago, 20 years ago would be very different.
I made a video when I started we were doing the outsourcing stuff, and that was because like we were trying to describe what a CTO is. See, a lot of people make the mistake. They think a lot of CTOs aren't going to like this. And I do a lot of programming still. Okay, I do a lot of programming, so I don't want to say that. You should be focused on R&D. You should be looking at the next technology coming down in your program. You should not be doing all your base coding. Now, and you and I had this discussion about. We had this discussion before. Now that there's AI, the funny thing is, waterfall is back as far as I'm concerned.
For a person unlike us, who's maybe not as immersed in tech, how would you explain waterfall, the ABCs
Yeah,
of waterfall?
so instead of going, I have an idea, here's a picture, start coding, which is more or less agile. Okay, agile guys are gonna be upset at me. Sorry, agile guys.
Take that, agile.
But I was a agile samurai for a while, but I always believe the hybrid of waterfall standards. Really, what it is, it's writing really all your requirements up front to get as much of the functional requirements of the system, the architecture, like an architecture document. How is the architecture going to work? Okay. Before you even get the screens, what's the database look like? Yeah. What are the relationships? What database should I be using? Should I have part of it be transactional database, like a PSQL? Should part of it be a NoSQL database, right? Is it a data lake going to be involved when we get to a certain size? All these things should be thought out. Like you're an architect building a house.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you're building an office building. Okay, yes. Or a condo. You have to think of all the things that you need to build that building. Right? There's no difference with software. You have to think in an architect's kind of mindset and say, okay, I'm an architect. I have engineers. The engineer will figure out how big the steel column has to be. Okay. But I got to figure out that there's got to, and he can figure out how many steel columns, but I got to know everything else. I got to know about this. I got to know delivery. I got to have the project. Like the architect's in charge of all that stuff. Right. And he's working with all the people to integrate it. And so that's really the same thing right today. I think so. Well, waterfall says that you plan everything, and you say like, okay, I'm going to have order management, and how is order management going to function? How is this going to do this? How is it going to do that? Everything that you go through for your product, you write it all out. Okay.
Yes.
And yes, you can use AI to write it all out, but you probably haven't read it, so that's probably not a good idea to do that. You should write it, so you know it. You have a vision of what your product looks like, and that. Then you have Figma. Right now you have Figma as a great tool. You start laying out your screens with the screens. You can wireframe them and quickly, and you put that into your doc and put it all together. Now that you got it all pulled together with multiple documents, now you can actually go to AI today. Like any of the coding AIs.
Like Claude.
And say, here's my functional requirements document. Here's my database design document. Here's my thing. Terraform, a great one is like, tell it to start off by saying, terraform me an infrastructure.
Yeah.
I start with like, create me a small Terraform environment in AWS.
You're big.
And I manage all the infrastructure on the terraforming, and I do all that myself. I don't even need anybody to do it. And I say, use this security protocol, do this thing, make sure there's these things. But if you know these things, you can say that it needs all these things. And then then once you've got that and it's all set up, but now Claude knows about the infrastructure. Okay, now install the database. Right, and it goes off.
Now install it. You're speaking about the importance of thinking holistically. Just unpack this at a easier level for someone who's not a Jewish super techie. The idea is we always should be thinking big picture, and we have to understand the plans.
Well, you have to start to finish. Like that's the problem with Agile was, and why a lot of startups failed was because they kept building and never delivering.
You're all about ship it. It's buggy. Get it out there. Get it out there. Don't worry.
Well, it's not it's the buggy, but that you build something that's actually okay, let's say your company. You sit down, you write a requirements. This is my requirements. Okay? I need to solve a problem in my company, and this is my requirements. Right? So you write it out. You spend the time. You get the input from sales and marketing guys. You get the input from the manufacturing guy, whatever it is in your type of business. And you get all the input. You capture everybody's ideas and concepts. You need to solve the problem. So here's the problem. We got to write something to solve the problem. You capture all the stuff, and now you write requirements. Okay, we needed to do this. So if you were agile, you might start just iterating on we're going to solve this, then we're going to think about this, and we're going to solve this. And you keep spinning. It's
The
like,
wheels are spinning, but you're
so
not getting motion.
instead of
Yeah.
spending 10% of your time writing the setup and then 90% of the time coding, okay? Spend 80% of your time research and writing and 20% of your time coding.
Just to say that very clear and get the message out there, and I'm in full agreement, is that 80% of the time research and writing, 20% coding.
Yeah.
80 20, 4 to 1. 4 times should be spent researching and writing with a pen, on paper.
Well,
to
you should
get
start with a
it
pen
clear.
and your brain and draw pictures. And I think very visually, so I draw a lot of pictures. I have years of notebooks, years and years of little notebooks I keep, and ideas are in there. And you could even scan the image and put it into AI. It'll break down
Images.
and
Why? To those who are me too. I write down everything on my desk. I got piles of papers and
Oh, that's very bad.
images and drawings. I'm not as sophisticated, but
no, it's not sophisticated.
you
Like,
should
look
have
at this.
like charts. Should have like
I
flow
just pulled one off
charts.
my shelf. This is 2012.
You write down everything every day. You're drawing flow
Yeah,
charts.
it's all sorts of stuff.
And why?
2019, actually.
Why are you such an advocate for get that pen, get that paper?
It's because it works in your brain better.
And
The
that's
human brain. The human
unnecessary.
brain is designed that way. I mean, I'm also
Yes.
I'm a visual learner, so I see problems. I see visual. I have spatial memory, so I think of things in a three-dimensional. Not everybody has that. Some people can remember a page of text, and some people can remember. I can't remember a page of text, but if I symbolize stuff, I can remember things, which is kind of like what you're doing with the kids learning.
What about would you roast me? Would you give me a yelling of what Mike Merker, as a sample to whoever's watching this? Would you roast me? Would you tell me? I've heard it. We had the J to J Expo chat. I was like packing a bunch of blocks in one of 3 suitcases, and you're like, you should be doing this, and
Well,
give it clear to everyone.
So you don't know who your customer is. That was your problem. You don't know who your customer is. So you're in love with the problem. You're in love with the solution, not the problem.
Uri Levine style talking. I love it.
Yeah. No, I've been always in love. I'm a problem junkie. That's what gets me excited. I'm a problem junkie. So you got to be in love with the problem. But so you have to have. Sometimes that's where a good mentor can come in if they're really. You have to, like, you're jumping around or you're not focused on this. Like, you've created something, okay? Like, you actually have created something that is good. It's education. I think you should make sure your patents are all lined up and everything, and then go visit the Lego.
You're right. We should, and the lesson, the wisdom in that, to unpack that, is that we should be, if we have cool technology, we should go to the big boys. The big boys.
But not just that you're big. It's not that you're just a big boy, because you can get run over pretty good. And I've learned that lesson too. Even if you have partnering agreements and all stuff, like that's why I don't do business with Oracle anymore.
Take that, Oracle, with two Jews versus Oracle.
We were doing a project with a steel business. They don't do steel. They do financials. And we brought them in on the deal to do the financials because we were built on Oracle technology. So we worked with the Oracle technology guys. And the ERP guys came in and met and said, oh, we can do it, like confusing the customer that they could do it. We know they can't do it. We're the only guys that do what we do. SAP can't do what we were doing. You're not going to do it. And they confused it. And we lost the deal.
Confusing the customer, and there's always someone who says, I can do it. We can do it. I can do it. Why do people lie? Why do tech providers lie sometimes?
because in tech they think that with time and money I can do anything. So if they say my software, can you say, so if you're interviewing a company, so someone says my software can do that. Okay, so show me.
Show me. Prove it. Prove it.
Show me you
no
can do
fairy
that.
tale.
So it's like that. So
Yes.
okay, like in the 90s, we were selling this software. Nobody was doing what we were doing in RF scanning and all this stuff in the 90s on a PC. And we had a brilliant guy who owned the company, who started the company. And I could go to a project site with him and we'd demo the software, customer. But we would walk around. What we did first is the day before, we would arrive and we'd want an afternoon tour the day before at the customer site. And we took a whole tour of the plant and we were making notes, both of us. And we would go back to the hotel and work on the software all night. I would be setting up the data for the demo to match the customer stuff, and he would be modifying things to make it look like the demo. So we could demonstrate to the customer the software could perform the way they needed to run for their business.
And echoing that wisdom there is there's always someone who says, I could do it, or I could raise money for it, or I could hire people for it. But not every problem.
There's a gazillion guys that say they can raise money. They can't. They're charging fees to raise money, and they can't. Okay. If someone says that they want $20,000, $10,000, sorry guys that have called me about this, but you're not raising money and you're getting paid up front for it. Now there are some very good guys who you're not paying for them to raise money. You're paying them. I have a friend of mine, Matt, who has a very good business, who does fundraising, and they've raised a lot of money. And they have proof they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars in it. But they use the money you give them for marketing. Then they're taking a commission on the sale of on the placement, a fee. They're taking a fee for the placement. That means it's a success fee. So if anyone's going and raising money, it's got to be success fee based. If they're a reasonable success fee, don't sell software. Even our new software, our national carbon registry. I'm going into third world countries, emerging market countries.
Yes.
And we're selling this. We're working with governments. And you think this would be easier because they go, I'm giving you free software. What do you mean it's free software? I'm not charging you up front for any software. I'm deploying the software. It runs on my Amazon account. Okay. And if you want the data to reside in your country, that's an extra fee because that's not cost to me.
Free.
If you want something different than the vanilla, you're going to pay for the extra more than that.
The freemium. The freemium model.
It's not premium. It's not premium either. It's if you want me to customize what I have built, you're going to pay for that kind of customization. That's fair. It's fair. I have the extra cost. But what we're charging is 5% of the sales of the carbon credits. And they ask, well, why are you charging 5%? I say, well, I have all my hosting, I have software development, I'm doing all the tech support for you. You have no cost. No cost. You're paying, I'm carrying everything to the sale, and I'm motivated to help you sell the carbon credits and the transaction. Make sure that you get paid from the sale.
A different business model, but it's
a different business model. It's a success fee based business model.
It's a success fee. And success fee is just a fancy way of saying
it's my version of SaaS.
It's my and you're big on the idea of build first but release quickly. That's your mantra, Daniel Brody.
Yeah.
Why?
Fail fast, fail early.
Fail fast, fail early, and you
should be able today to build a product.
Yes.
And launch MVP in 180 days.
180 days. Build the product, launch 180 days.
And if you follow my methodologies,
your experience and wisdom. Or jumping to a different angle here, there's a lot of people I know where they're like, Mike, I can't get involved in tech. I got one of these on my head where tech is bad. And what are your thoughts to you're what are your thoughts? Can a Jewish guy with a yarmulke, can a young
I know
lady?
lots of Jewish guys. There's a whole country of tech guys that are Jewish. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Is there? What about those people right now? They've been. What do you say to the 15 to 20-year-olds who don't know what to do with themselves, but they like tech?
That's a whole different. So
Yeah.
we've got a real cognizant of time, but we got a real problem right now in the world. We have a lost generation right now of kids. A real lost generation. They can't read. Can't pick up a book and read.
Yeah.
They can't write. They can't. I mean, not an English sentence, because they could probably type it. Maybe it's a text language, but they could probably write it. But they have their finger muscular skill. They couldn't write, and they don't even know. They can't even sign their names. Do you know that their kids? My daughter told me their kids can't sign their name. They're marking an X, like a cowboy in the 1940s.
Something's off. And this could be a 10-hour conversation, but in 10 minutes, what's off? What do you see as off?
Well, I mean, an AI is going to exacerbate it, but I'm an AI guy, so I'm not trying to do. But I use AI for applied reasons, right? We're using AI to do the mathematics, to do the verifications, to do process, right? We're not using it to replace someone's job. We're using it to do things with. But kids getting involved in some of this stuff, it may be like not so good. I mean, there's so many good. I was dyslexic.
Yes, okay? You admit you're saying it. You're saying it on a public
I was dyslexic,
forum.
and I had the thing. So my father was a very tough disciplinarian. It's like the piano teacher whack you on the fingers till you get it right.
I know that feeling, Michael. Okay. Focus. I'm like, I can't.
I had to write everything out 10 times. And I was tough on my kids. I did the same thing.
Tough. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Believe
it's very much true. And it's become terrible today. That's really like technically, if all my kids were married by now, I'd have grandchildren. But it's those kids that, like all our friends that have grandchildren now, they're those kids that are out there, like the kids that are, let's say, 5 to 15. Okay, those kids are really going to have a hard, and their parents are already having a hard time, right?
I know that.
What are you? And Canada is like really tough.
Why?
Right? Let's leave. I don't want to get political on Canada.
You won't get political.
My family's been here since the 1890s. I don't want to get political.
Oh, Canada.
Yes, it was. Now it's Canada. We struggled, and probably you too struggled, buy a house, right? And my kids have no hope of buying a house. I have sons living in Barrie. They rented a house together. My 3 sons live together. They rented a house. It's great. They've become very close friends, but they're renting a house. Now, the 2 of them are making good money, and the other one's, he's just finishing his law thing, so he'll go into law practice and he'll make good money. He'll end up with a house, maybe. But Canada's outpriced itself in the housing market. Even a condo, like you're talking about a 1,200 square foot apartment, right? 2-bedroom apartment at what, $1,200 to $1,500 for a crappy apartment, $1,200 to $1,500 a square foot.
Oh, you know all the numbers. I'll tell you, I lived for, 4 years. I mean, it was me, then it was me and a wife, then it was me and a wife and a kid, then it was me and a wife and 2 kids. I was living in like a 600 square foot apartment, and it was interesting. It was a condo. It had a swimming amenities, a swimming pool, whatever. But the world is shifting.
The world's shifting.
It's scary. It's frightening.
It's frightening. It's a very scary world, and AI is changing a lot of things, and I think this may be the problem in tech right now. I would have told guys 10 years ago, going into school, go in tech. Go in tech. Go tech.
But
Go
today,
tech. Go
what
tech.
would you say today? What would you say today?
Don't go in tech.
Amen. Daniel Brody said it. I say it to everyone. Don't go
in
into
tech.
tech. Don't go into tech.
First of all, when you get out of school, unless you're the top 2% guys or 5% guys, you're probably going to really struggle to get a job. The odds are you'll be working at Starbucks before you're working at a tech company.
I said that to 3 people.
Or you have to start your own. You have to start your own tech company, solve a problem for somebody, and start your own tech company. But I don't think it is. Why? Because all the low end jobs that were grunt programming jobs that got you started are
it's all been
gone.
Yeah, it's completely done.
I mean, I don't know what the final number was. I guess I could search and tell you, but I think in 2025, probably somewhere between 100 and 200,000 tech jobs were evaporated in the tech industry in North America.
Why? And the reason they were evaporated is because the grunt.
There was a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
a lot of reasons. Not AI isn't to be blamed for the all the jobs. Why? Because a lot of companies were reaching kind of critical mass, and they had to cut expenses, and they were changing their models, and then they were, a lot of them are all pivoting into the AI. Environmentally, AI is not so good for the environment. I'll say that too, but because it's an energy hog.
Correct.
But we don't have enough energy they want to run the whole planet on AI. I mean, they think like here that we're not there. But Canada's biggest problem is they don't want to take anything out of the ground anymore. The government. We should be richer than Saudi Arabia. Do you know that?
I've heard that a few times.
We have the same population basically as Saudi Arabia. Okay? We have the same kind of healthcare as Saudi Arabia. All right? They have the same population of that. They have one resource, oil. We have more oil than them. We have and we have everything else that they don't have. We have wood, water, and minerals, and fishing. Right? We have everything. Canada has everything, and the government is gonna, not this government won't, but some government next might change their mind and actually decide that they want to, use Trump's words, pump baby pump, or drill baby drill, right?
What about religion? You've always been a Jew with a yarmulke. Your father's a rabbi.
No, I became this on my own. I grew up not religious in a traditional house, Temple Sinai, grew up Reformed Temple. My father was part of Brotherhood, helped start the temple and all that stuff. My father was very young. He was religious in a small town in New Brunswick. Because everybody was back then, right?
There was a time where everyone was. There wasn't a term religious.
Yeah, everybody was.
You were
was
Jewish.
22. And he came to Toronto in 1950. Anyway, we were married in 1990, my wife and I. She also grew up Holy Blossom, not religious. And we started a few years after we started slowly with Asha Torah. We actually started with the village shul. We were one of the founding families there. And we grew slowly. And then we had kids and then more kids. And then the kids went to Jewish day school. And over time, we became very, fully observant. And it was tough because you have a lot of family that aren't religious. And actually, all the family that's not religious. And we're the only ones that were religious. And we had to deal with that family issue.
Me too.
And I asked, but from a work standpoint, I had to, at some point, had to declare myself, I don't work on Shabbat. And everybody, if I'm sincere and honest with it, I can tell you that everybody who's non-Jewish, I never have a problem with.
Interesting.
I never have a problem. I'm sincere and honest. If people wish me Shabbat Shalom. I had a conversation with someone today. Oh, I love she said, I'm working with her. She says, "Oh, are you cooking with your wife this afternoon for Shabbat?" Because she knew I was cooking because my wife was working. She does the events, She caught me one time. We were talking. I'm on the phone, and what are you doing? I'm cooking dinner Friday night. Every Friday night we sit all down as the whole family. What's that all about? You describe it. And I've had friends that are not religious, say not religious, not Jewish, and say that's a really good idea. No phones, no TV. Sit down with the family, have Friday night dinner, and play a board game afterwards, and talk.
And
Your
talk.
kids will remember.
Play a board game together and talk. It's amazing we have to even say that. Isn't that a given? Isn't that a given?
Yeah. So that was and I have to say, I think our kids will remember that as a big, I hope one day we'll remember all the hard work and all the things, but we'll remember that we sat down and we had fun together doing stuff.
Amazing. And you're a busy guy. We don't have to we don't have to exhaust you for a full hour here. We'll let you get back to what you're doing. This was an incredible, what else? A final thought from Daniel Brody in the last 30 seconds we have him. What say you?
You should be sincere in what you do. You should be honest in what you do. Right? And you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. You don't know everything. You don't know everything, and ask for help.
Amazing.
Even I ask for help.
We're gonna pause here, everyone. This was another amazing episode. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us, and
thanks, Mike.
We'll have you back maybe in a couple weeks or a month or so, and we'll have to squeeze you for more wisdom and unpack all your great 30 years, everyone, of tech experience in 45 minutes. What a good ratio. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.